On behalf of University Career Services and Counseling and Psychological Services, we welcome you to this presentation. My name is Priyanka Raut, and I'm one of the career counselors with University Career Services. And with me, I have my co-presenter and Miss Leah McCoy, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Yes, hi, welcome to the presentation. I am Leah McCoy. I'm a psychological counselor with Counseling and Psychological Services at University of Houston. My role today will be to discuss the anxiety management while looking for a job.
Thank you, Leah. And we also have Donna Justice with us. She is one of our career counselors, and she will be helping manage the chats. So if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chats and job search related questions, and Donna will answer them. And if you have any questions for CAPS, Leah will be happy to answer them at the end. Donna, would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Thanks, Priyanka. As Priyanka was saying, my name is Donna Justice, and I'm one of the other career counselors at University Career Services. So for today, I will be managing the chat. So during the presentation, if you have a question, you can write it in the chat box, which is located in the settings bar on the lower end of Microsoft Teams. During the presentation, if it seems like an appropriate question to insert there, I stop Priyanka and Leah and then say, hey, we have a quick question on this topic. But feel free to engage, ask questions, and I look forward to hearing the presentation as well.
Thank you, Donna.
I also wanted to add a quick second before Priyanka gets started that if it is a psychological question or something about a mental health concern, if you feel comfortable, you can put that in the chat as well. And those questions I will try to address.
Thank you, Leah. And just a friendly reminder, make sure that everybody's mics are on mute, because unlike Zoom, we're not able to control for Teams who can be muted and unmuted. So just so that everybody's able to hear the presentation clearly, let's all make sure that our mics are on mute. Thank you. So I will begin the presentation. Here is our agenda for today. We will begin by sharing some quick information about the services that University Career Services and Counseling and Psychological Services offers. Then we'll jump into self-exploration, learning a little bit about yourself. Then we'll talk briefly about resume and the applicant tracking system, followed by networking, and we'll speak a little bit about LinkedIn. Then we'll talk about the stressors that you may experience during your job search process and how to channel your emotions into more positive and efficient job search method. So to begin with, University Career Services is offering all services online during this time. We do have virtual chats, which are kind of 15-minute drop-ins. Those are offered every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 1 to 4 p.m. in the afternoon. And also, you can log on to our website, uh.edu/UCS, to see the chat symbol and chat with a career counselor. We also schedule 30-minute virtual appointments through Cougar Pathway. And then you can RSVP for all our workshops and our virtual career fairs through Cougar Pathway as well. This is a list of all the workshops we have planned for the first session of summer. So you can see that after today's workshop, we do have another workshop in the afternoon, which is developing soft skills for global workforce, specifically for international students. So feel free to check that out. And then if you haven't already if you don't know about Cougar Pathway, it's in your Access UH, and that's where you can schedule appointments We post on-campus jobs, off-campus jobs, internships, full-time jobs. There are a lot of employers who are currently hiring and they are posting on Cougar Pathway. So make sure to check it out. You can also upload your resume and CV over there for review. We will start scheduling virtual on campus interviews for fall. And then, like I said, for our virtual career fairs this fall and all the workshops, employer meet and greets, you will be able to RSVP through Cougar Pathway.
Sorry. CAPS is we offer for counseling and psychological services. We offer individual and couples therapy, and all of our services in that way are virtual right now. The only thing that you'll see on that slide that we're not offering virtually or at this time is group therapy. That will resume in the fall. But any individual or couples for relational concerns, anxiety, depression, feeling stressed, you're more than welcome to come. If you want a list of the things that we offer in terms of our services as well as our consultations, you can also visit us at uh.edu/CAPS. You can also call us 713-743-5454 for more information or to schedule an appointment. This is also how you get in touch with our Let's Talk, which you'll see here. Oh, no, you're right, Priyanka, you're good. Our Let's Talk program is a 15-minute consultation. If you're needing quick advice or you're just wanting to run something by a therapist and would like any perspective, that is offered virtually every day during the week, Monday through Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. And the way you access a Let's Talk counselor is you'll call our main number and they will connect you. Additionally, we are offering our Cougs Conquer series, and there'll be different topics that'll go throughout the series for the summer. These are also virtual offerings. This month, in the month of June, we will be addressing emotional roller coasters, racial trauma, and how to connect with CAPS. That Connect with CAPS workshop is an opportunity for you to ask any questions you might have about our services or to see what it's like to talk to a counselor, maybe get some consultation. So feel free to take advantage of those series. They run every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 2 p.m. So if you go to our website and look up the Outreach tab, it'll show you the Cougs Conquer series, and you can see what upcoming topics we have and what day that'll be offered. It'll also have the link on there as well. Additionally, you'll see in the bottom right that we have 2 dates for June. We will repeat again in July for our QPR suicide prevention training. So if you would like to participate in that, registration is required, but it is free. So please feel free to go over to our website, the Outreach tab, and look up QPR suicide prevention, and you can register there for that virtual offering.
Hey, Leah, we have a question. Are there any options for recent grads to utilize CAPS?
Unfortunately, that's a great question, but unfortunately, our services, in order to be eligible for CAPS, you have to be an enrolled or registered student. So if you've already graduated, then unfortunately, you're not eligible for our ongoing services. However, if you need assistance to get connected to services in the community, or if you need a consultation, or if you're in crisis, then you can absolutely call us and we will help connect you to some resources that are both through insurance and could be at a nominal slide scale fee. So that's a great question. Thank you, Donna. I'm ready for the next slide, Priyanka. And what to do if you're in crisis. So if you're experiencing a crisis situation and you need to speak to someone immediately, if it's during the business hour, you can always call 713-743-5454 and you will be connected to a consultant on duty. Those are we have crisis counselors that are available during the business day. However, if it is after business hours and you are in imminent crisis, you can either call 911 or go to your emergency room, or you can call CAPS at our number that's listed there, and you'll be connected to the after hours counselor. This is available anytime after 5 during the weekday and before 8 a.m. It's also available on weekends, holidays, or anytime the university or our offices are closed. So basically, we have 24/7 support for all of your crisis needs.
Thank you, Leah. And I also see a question that is it still possible to attend a career fair for a recent grad? If you have graduated in May of 2020, you do have complimentary access to all career services until December 1st of 2020, which means you are eligible to use all our services and attend all our events. After it's been 6 months since your graduation, you will have to subscribe for an alumni plan, which is $50 for 6 months to avail all of our services. Okay, so jumping into the presentation, our goal today is really to help you learn some job search strategies as we're navigating through some difficult times, and also to understand ways to manage your anxiety and channel emotions. We're really hoping to share some practical tips that you can implement while you're in this process. So feel free to, engage with us by asking questions in the chat. Donna can, she can say those questions out loud, or if she feels comfortable, she will answer them. And Leah will answer the questions for CAPS. So any job search process really begins with introspection, or looking or getting to know yourself and what you want. And so it's very, very important to kind of know what you want, be aware of what's out there, and then at the same time learn about effective techniques of using those resources that are available to you and making the most of the opportunities. So as you can see, we will know, customize, be aware, search, apply, track, and use. So we'll be talking about all of these. So before I kind of start talking about knowing yourself, I want you to start thinking about what are those obstacles that come up when you're trying to know yourself, especially not knowing what type of job am I eligible for? What should I apply for? What do I have to offer? And what are those skills to highlight when you're preparing for a job search? So think about all those obstacles that prevent you from really getting this information from yourself. And you can either type those in the chat box, or you can write them on a piece of paper to kind of learn more about ways to overcome these obstacles as we progress through the presentation. So knowing yourself, what are your skills and abilities? So what are your interests? When we're talking about career decision making or what should I do next, we always talk to students about thinking about their interests, their personality, and their values. We also have a free career assessment on our website, uh.edu/UCS, and it's called as Focus 2. So this assessment will kind of help you narrow down to your top 3 areas of interests, look at your values and your personal preferences. By no means this assessment is magic. The answers will be based on how you have responded to the questions. So please keep that in mind, that this is just a tool to help you kind of get a sense for where you are and what you like. You may also want to think about what areas might you need additional training in. What might be helpful for you to learn right now? Starting this introspection will also help you learn some things that really make you stand out. So when you talk about your strengths, things that you bring to the table, things that you have to offer, this is very important to kind of start thinking about right now. Many people just leave it till, let me see when I get to the interview. But really knowing all these things and having a good sense of what you're looking for helps make you feel confident and also helps you focus your job search efforts. Knowing what types of positions you're seeking, whether it's an internship, a micro internship, part-time job, full-time job, will help. Micro internships are something new. It's an internship that you can do either for a week or a short period of time. However, it'll still help you gain the relevant skills you're looking for. Also important to think about the environment you want to work in. Are you somebody who thrives at working with teams, or are you somebody who thrives working individually, or you prefer a balance? Knowing the type of company you want to work for. So just applying blindly to whatever shows up may not help you make yourself invested in that application. Research a little bit about the company, research what it has to offer. Do you like the culture? Does the company represent the values that you believe in? What types of benefits are they offering? So, all this really has to happen before you even set out to apply for a job. So, on to Leah.
Yes. Sorry, I was in the chat. Part of also knowing yourself is understanding your limits. So there are two types of stress. One stress is very beneficial and can be used as motivating and inspiring. It kind of serves as a gasoline to get us moving. And that works really well in job search. However, if we don't manage that level of stress, it is possible that it will increase to an area where the stress level becomes more debilitating and paralyzing. In that way, that stress then keeps us from advancing forward. It actually serves to kind of weigh us down. So part of the responsibility, I guess, when looking for a job is to manage those levels of stress so that you are using the positive aspects of stress that is motivating and not the negative part, which is paralyzing. And the way that we do that is understanding our limits. A major source of stress for people that report about stress is their efforts to try to control events or other people over which they have little or no power. And so what you'll see is people will be trying to keep things in control, but those are outside of their control. And job search is one of those things, right? And that just increases that level of stress that then moves it into an unhealthy way. So you want to recognize when you're most stressed out and allow yourself some reasonable breaks. Uh-oh.
Sorry.
That's okay. You want to allow yourself some reasonable breaks. Okay. So recognize those moments. What does stress look like for you? Do you get a headache? Does your body begin to ache? Do you start finding yourself losing time? You go to work on a task, but then for whatever reason, it just seems to escape you. The other thing to do is ask yourself this question: is whatever I'm worrying about my problem? Is this something that's within my control? If it isn't, leave it alone. I can't deal with that. Or it is someone else's issue. Sometimes people, especially nowadays, will bring things to you and then we'll find ourselves engaged in whatever their problem is. But when you're job searching, you have to be really judicious on what you focus your attention on. So if it is your problem, so this is something that directly impacts you, you want to identify what can you do to address it now and try to accept those situations that you cannot change. So that's really important when you're looking for jobs, to not get bogged down by the thoughts about things that you don't have any control over or any power to change. Focus your attention on the things that you do have control over and know your limits. What can I do now versus what can wait later?
Awesome. So, knowing that and being able to manage things that you can control, we can move on to talking about your resume and learning about the applicant tracking system. So, because this is not a presentation on resumes, we're going to talk very briefly about it. Your resume should be no more than a page if you have less than 10 years of experience in the field. So, which means that your resume should only include recent and relevant information. It should have a clear format, and you can add coursework and projects to show your relevant experience, your relevant knowledge of the area. You can also add action-oriented words. So, in order to showcase the skills that you have gained through a job or an experience, using a verb like, for example, conducted research, assisted customers, this shows more about the skills you have to offer. And then talking about accomplishments, where whether you have received an award or if you have been on the dean's list, if you received any scholarships, it could also be something like um, you were a recipient of the best employee of month at work, or you received a recognition from your supervisor. Feel free to add that in that relevant job description. When you're talking about your jobs and your projects, remember to stay focused on what your role was and what you did rather than describing what the project or the job is, because this is going to help you showcase the skills you have to offer. And then also, we cannot stress this more. Tailoring your resume to the position you're applying for is very, very important. By tailoring, we mean you can add verbs, you can add keywords, and you can also add relevant experiences for that position. Being aware of the applicant tracking system is important. This is a software that acts as a human resource database for organizing applicants. So the main goal of this ATS is to really simplify the hiring process for the manager. And so the way the hiring manager sets this up is they will rank applicants based on keywords that they have added into this applicant tracking system. So they'll add keywords and they can also add filters. So you want to make sure that your resume makes it through this first step of the applicant system. And so it's important to make sure, that your resume has the keywords and then also you qualify for the basic requirements of the position. And so a few tips to manage with the ATS is to, for example, use keywords. So if you're applying for a sales manager position, make sure to include the words sales and manage. If you have worked in a different industry but have had similar experiences, that'll help you bring those words in on your resume. Make sure to research the employer's website to get a sense of their culture and their values. For example, if a firm has an interest in environmental sustainability, try to include relevant work that you have done in that field on your resume. It could be some extracurricular activity, it could be some reading that you have done. Try to keep the resume formatting simple. The more objects or boxes or symbols that you have on your resume, it is possible that the ATS can overlook text in those objects. Also, don't ever lie or exaggerate to get through the screening process. A lot of people will use tricks such as like typing false information in white font. Because the ATS is a machine, it is going to read everything that is on your resume, irrespective of the color of the font. So people do that, but again, even if you make it through the ATS, it is going to come across very clearly to the hiring manager that you had lied. So make sure that you are honest right from the first step of this job search process. Now, Leah will talk a little bit about, once you have your resume and everything ready, she'll help you talk a little bit about managing your time.
Thank you, Priyanka. So when we think about managing stress, I like to use this example of Thanksgiving dinner. In my family, we have a variety of cooks that do really well, and we always cook the very best of the best. If that's what your dish is, if you can cook it the best, that's what you bring to Thanksgiving. And so we would take a plate and we'd fill it with all of the faves of the faves, right? Because it's the most. And we're afraid that if we don't get it the first time around, it may not be there to come back. Well, what that creates is an overpacked plate. And undoubtedly, by the time we make it to the table, something has fallen off. A roll may roll off, a piece of macaroni may have fallen on the floor. Well, stress management is the same way. Sometimes we have this proverbial plate that we stack with lots of tasks, lots of things that we need to do, and then we feel overwhelmed. So, just like the Thanksgiving plate gets heavy and things start to fall off, the same thing can happen in our day to day life. So, in order to manage the anxiety and stress that comes with job searching, you want to manage your plate, or in this slide's definition, manage your time. Identify long and short term goals. What are some things that I can do today? What are some things I can do this week, this month, this year that will move you towards your longer term goals? You also want to prioritize those goals. What are things that have to be done right now, and what are things that we can do in a week or so? So which is most important to the least important? That way all of your efforts are strategic. Use a time inventory. By that I mean, if you are starting to do your job search, and let's say today you've decided to do your research and looking to see what jobs are available, give it a time limit. So instead of spending all day searching for a job, maybe give yourself an hour or so. That way you can have those breaks that I talked about earlier. Also, keep in mind what is the best time to complete that particular task on your list. I am not a morning person, so the heavier items, things that really require a lot of mental energy, is best for me to do in the afternoon because that's when I'm more alert, more focused, my juices are flowing, my brain is moving. Know yourself in that way so that the heavier tasks that you need to get done, and that might be the actual filling out of application, you can do it at a time that is optimal for you. Give a reasonable amount of time for each, and then remember to reward yourself and relax. So sometimes, again, with that plate management that I talked about, we just do, 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 do. And the only way we feel productive is if we've been busy all the time. But you will see that productivity in that way, that constant moving without a break, really leads to more mistakes and errors. So what you want to do, just like a computer needs to power down every now and again, or you need to relax, or your cell phone battery gets low, your mental battery gets low too. So give yourself a reward, be proud of the stuff that you put in, and then relax. And this will also help you to avoid procrastination. If you burn the candle at both ends, which means you're just constantly using all of your energy up, then it usually makes you unmotivated to do the next task. But if you give yourself rewards and relaxation, then and you're focused, right? You've got your goals in mind and your task list, then it will help you stay on par with your assignments instead of procrastination.
And we always share with students a strategy, maybe have a goal of applying for at least one or two jobs each day. So that way, between Monday and Friday, you have applied for at least 5 to 10 positions. Remember that until you do not put in that application, you will not be eligible to get an interview. So make sure that you're really managing your time well using all these awesome tips here.
I also want to say one more thing before you go to networking.
Mm-hmm.
When managing time, I want to share a little kind of tip or trick for applications. If you've noticed nowadays, I guess when I was in college, we had these paper applications and they were short. They were about a page or so. You just put in your demographic information, a little bit of your work history, and that was it. Today, since it's electronic, some of them ask really important questions that want you to think about it. You have 100 to 150 words, and they're trying to evaluate your writing style and your thought, and if you can speak well. And so sometimes that can take a lot of mental energy. So one of the things that I think is always helpful is to open up a Word document and copy that question into that Word document and do your answer there, and then save it. That way, as you go throughout the different applications, if there are similar questions, you've already done the mental energy of crafting an answer. So it makes it easier and more time efficient to find an answer that is closely related to that. And you might have to do a few edits to make it applicable to that one particular question if it's a little different, but you're not having to try to re-answer a question over and over and over again, which takes a lot of time and can make it draining. So if you just have a running Word document with some of the standard questions that you've been asked or anyone that requires you to really do some work, then you always have access to that as you go throughout your applications.
Thanks for sharing that wonderful tip, Leah.
You're welcome.
So moving on to networking, once we looked at ourselves, our what we want, created our resume, managed our time, now it's important to look at the most useful and effective method of job search, networking. Networking is building and developing and also maintaining mutually beneficial relationships. So these networking, career networking, is making the most out of planned and unplanned meetings. It does not mean you just collect business cards and keep them. And it is also not for making a direct approach for a job offer. Networking is really to help you connect with family, friends, neighbors, supervisors, other students, and all of these people to really learn and know more about how to best prepare yourself to go into the job market, how to best maybe update your resume, who would be the person you can reach out to learn more about the company or the industry. So that's what really networking is. We have an awesome tool, LinkedIn. So make sure that everybody has a profile on LinkedIn. This is a current networking tool. And currently, in the midst of this pandemic, it has been the most effective and widely used job search tool. So, University Career Services can help you develop your LinkedIn profile. If you have any questions, a career counselor can review it, give you feedback. But to most effectively use LinkedIn, here are some of the things you can do. Once you have your profile ready to go, try to add connections. You can go to the UH page on LinkedIn and start engaging with alumni. Maybe if there are some articles that you came across, you can share those. You can like what people have posted. You can make comments. You can congratulate people on their anniversaries. You can also invite people for phone or video chats to talk about, this job search process. This is also a great way for you to help connect other people with somebody who is looking for the right kind of talent. So if you know a friend or a colleague who might benefit from a certain opportunity, feel free to connect them to that. So LinkedIn is really a way for you to engage in online networking in a way you feel comfortable. These are just some examples. By no means you have to do everything. These are just some suggestions. And we have some tips that'll kind of help you ease your way into online networking. Most important is to build your personal brand. I'm sure you've heard that a lot. Personal branding really means showcasing what you have to offer. So, for example, I can put myself out there as career counselor in higher education, or I can promote myself as a bilingual healthcare worker. Whatever I want to, whatever skills and strengths I have to offer, that can be my brand. Also making sure that your LinkedIn information is up to date. So make sure you have added some of those projects that you did, volunteering work, if you had a side hustle, if you were doing some freelancing work, make sure to put all of this information, if it's relevant, on your LinkedIn profile. Try to keep your messages and emails short because, as you know, nobody has time to read these days. Um, you also want to make sure that you identify new contacts and try informational interviewing. Informational interviewing is to interview someone about the type of job that you're interested in. So, for example, you will connect with them, then schedule a time to ask them questions like, what does a day in your job look like? What are some challenges that you face in this job? How can I best prepare myself to get this job? So, these are things you can do through informational interviews, and that can be a great first step into networking and building a connection with someone. Also, keep it personalized. So make sure that you are customizing those messages that you send out when you connect with people. And this is very important. A lot of students say, I don't know if it's okay to reach out if I have applied for a position. It is absolutely recommended, and we definitely encourage you to reach out if you have the email and the or the contact for the person who you can follow up with after you have applied for a job. So, if you apply for a job, say this week, in the next 3 to 4 days, you can send a follow up email message. If you do not get a response to that email message, wait for a week and send another email or make a phone call, leave a voice message. After trying out twice, if there is no response, this is where you let it go. So we follow only twice. And then obviously we have to be professional in all communication with people. So do not use their first names. You may definitely ask them how they would like to be addressed. Do not use slang or abbreviations. And make sure that you're using proper email etiquette, which means beginning with "Dear Hiring Manager" and then ending with saying, "Thank you for taking the time to read my email. Yours sincerely," and your name. So, having gone through all of these steps in the job search process, we will now move on to the stressors that we face during this journey.
So I
So,
wanted for a
yes,
quick
Leah, go
second,
ahead.
a couple of things in the chat that are asking more pandemic related questions. I want you to know that we will open the floor to address those specific questions at the end of the presentation. But I do want to say for a second that that pandemic worry, the part about how things will be during this time, is that part that fits within the things outside of our control, because we do not know what's happening with COVID from day to day or how that's going to impact us in the long time. A lot of organizations are taking time to redefine processes, redefine how they're going to bring in, what can they bring in, what is the financial impact, and those are all elements that add to the daunting pressure of trying to navigate looking for a job, deciding what to search for. So I want you to think about the worry about pandemic as a stressor beyond your control. So for that, you want to just sit it on the shelf. And what you want to focus on is, what are the things I can do to put myself out there? Because if we focus on the part that we cannot control, then that can be discouraging. But what we do have control over is allowing ourselves the opportunity to be seen. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that with stressors. So, stressors that come are things like I just described, and the discomfort of not knowing the progress of your application. And I want to acknowledge that that is a very difficult aspect of job search because you don't know. Part of what makes that difficult is we often put our identity with our application. So if I put an application out there, I'm really hoping that the organization or the job market will choose me. But what you want to do in job searching, especially to be effective, is to separate your identity from the application. I want to reframe it for you. What you're really wanting to do is create an invitation for your skills and your education to be reviewed. So instead of seeing it as choose me, which may feel rejecting if they don't, it is like a bid. If I was getting a new patio done outside, I might invite three, four, five different companies to come and give me a bid for what the work is that I want them to do. after looking at all of those companies and what they have to offer, I'm then going to pick one based on my needs. That's really what's happening in that job search. It does not mean that I didn't like company A or company C. It just might mean that companies B might have skills that better fit what I'm looking for. So if we can remove our identity from the application and just use it as an invitation for an opportunity to be seen, and you focus on that, how many invitations have I sent out? The more invitations that I send out, the more opportunities to be seen. And if they see my skills and the educations that I've acquired, then I am more likely to have an invitation for a conversation. Okay. That way, not knowing the progress, you're not looking and waiting like what I would imagine if you were, if you didn't drive and somebody dropped you off at the mall and you were waiting to be picked up. That is an excruciatingly painful experience, right? Just waiting, not knowing when they're coming. But if you can see it as an invitation, and then you're just waiting for them to respond to that invitation, you can advance to the next one. And in this process, what is essential is to focus on the positives. What happens is we often start to rehearse or fall into the rut of reviewing all the negative things. That increases your stress and discouragement. Because then it's like, this didn't work, no one's calling, pandemic is around, I don't have this, I'm stuck in the house. And you can create like a trench, like a rut. Like sometimes if you've ever gone to a carnival and you've seen like they have little horse rides on a carousel and just kind of keeps going around and around and around, you can see the path that the horses have taken. It creates like a rut and you can get stuck there. And when you are stuck in that kind of a rut, it is very discouraging. So then the motivation, again, that stress that's uncomfortable, the debilitating or paralyzing stress, keeps you back. It's like, I don't want to get to the computer and apply to a job because what's the point? But if we focus on the positive, like, oh my goodness, I put out 5 invitations today, or today I was able to really answer that question and I felt positive about it, I used my time well, then you're more likely to feel encouraged or engaged to do it again, right? So you want to make an effort to replace your negative thoughts with positive ones. I also want you to be mindful of positive moments. So sometimes we look for these big things to make a great big impact, but sometimes positive moments come in small things like watching birds or hearing them chirp, or being able to see a sunset or a sunrise, being able to get a discount, a sale item, finally being able to go outside after having been in the house for a long time. Those are little positive things that work like deposits into your gas tank that give you the fuel that you need to move forward. So focus, focus, focus on the positive.
Leah, and I would also like to add here right now is that because of the news that we're seeing and because we're hearing that there are no jobs out there, nobody's hiring, we tend to forget to not look at the employers who are currently hiring. So I would strongly encourage you to reflect and focus your energy on looking at employers who are hiring. Like I said earlier, there are employers who are still continuing to post in Cougar Pathway. We had a career fair at the end of May. We had 2 events, and both were really well attended by employers and students. And so this just tells us that there is this positive, hiring process going on. There are students who are still getting virtual internships, getting hired virtually, doing virtual orientations. So I think focusing our energy on what is out there and what I can apply will also help bring that positive energy out. And we've always been telling students that networking is very, very important. And I feel in the time of this pandemic, networking is even more important than anything else. Employers are open to you reaching out to them. Employers are open to you connecting with them. They may say, hey, right now we don't have anything. Because as Leah mentioned earlier, a lot of companies are still figuring out how are we going to navigate this? What will be our strategy for hiring? How do we uh, schedule this online orientation or training, whatever it is. So you reaching out to them kind of puts you on their radar. And so maybe following up with them a couple of months later, they may have something in place. And really, these are things that, very less likely you will see them putting a position out there. But most likely, a lot of the positions will get filled through networking. So, right now is the best time to focus on what is available, what can I put my energy and resources into, and how can I best utilize my networking skills, or maybe even work on developing those networking skills. People feel it's very easy to just go into Google, search for a job, apply online, and just wait to hear back something. That's just one way of job searching. That's not the only or the most effective way of job searching. So having said that, we would also like to talk about how do you channel these negative images or these negative vibes that you're getting from everything around you. So one of the ways, as I said earlier, is to put in more applications. Um, try to find more positions, try to research more, try to talk to, you're welcome to schedule an appointment with a career counselor to learn about new resources. Try to reach out to your professors, people you have worked with in the past. Again, LinkedIn, that's one of your ways to, very effective way to reach out to people. Um, and also at the same time, while you're being positive and putting in all this work, be mindful of what the current times are. No matter how hard we work, there might be moments when, when everything is on a lockdown and everybody's just supposed to be where they are. So be aware of that and the challenges that come with it. But do not let that influence your efforts. Try to stay positive, whether you rely on your faith or spirituality, if you meditate, if you believe in visualization. I believe, Leah, you shared a very interesting visualization activity. Would you like to share that real quick?
Sure. So I've noticed that some in the chat have expressed some concerns about the pandemic. So when you think about visualization, I want you to imagine that you are a butterfly net. It's got the little holes, but it doesn't allow the butterflies to come through. What you want to do is filter out all of the things that are negative, the things that are challenging to you. So one of those things is the fact that job searching, the tips and the tools for searching for a job have not changed in this pandemic, right? Those tips and tools are the same even in our current condition. What has changed is the method for which we might get interviewed, or the method for which, and the timetable that might come in. So you want to filter out those things that come to challenge you and discourage you. So thinking that I won't be able to use these tools to find a job because we're in a pandemic, or no one is going to look at me, or no one's going to say anything. But then you want to retain the butterflies of positivity. So those things that bring you hope that this is an opportunity for me to learn some skills, take some free webinars so that I have things to talk about in an interview. These are some times to really look at my LinkedIn profile. Maybe COVID has given me an opportunity to rebrand myself, to take a webinar such as this one, to learn some skills. Am I really tailoring my resume appropriately? And visualize all of those powerful things, those important things, as butterflies, and hold on to them, right? Filter the bad, hold on to the good.
Thank you, Leah. And so again, making those connections with people that maybe you feel are the influencers, or people who you think will be able to share some insights with you, who might be able to share more, not information about how a certain industry is doing. Let's say you're in supply chain right now. There are a lot of jobs in that field right now. So talking to people who are, in the industry, and you can get advice from the experts. Also studying about areas that you are interested in. um, so this is a great time to kind of think about ways to grow, and also to think outside the box. If you have your major, by no means is going to determine what you will be doing for the rest of your life. Your major really shows that you can take something and finish it successfully till the end, in spite of all the in spite of all the challenges you may have along the way. But what really determines your job satisfaction will be finding jobs or things that make get you interested. And it could look something like, let's say, for a math major, maybe something looking at teaching math, or maybe looking at s- um, data simulation or data analysis. There are jobs out there right now. There are a lot of teaching jobs. And as Leah said, maybe the way of interviewing has changed, maybe the way of doing those jobs has changed, but the process of connecting with people, applying for a job, those still remain the same. So definitely, think outside the box, look at ways that you can grow. So think about volunteering, think about doing those micro internships, think about taking up contract jobs. So instead of waiting for that one perfect job, which may take 1 month or several months or a year, you want to jump on what's available right now that interests you, and start from there.
Yes, I think that is extremely important when you're thinking about the fact that we are in such an uncertain time. What are some ways that I can think outside the box and utilize this time to do something else, right? Because you can always apply again later, right? So if I take a job teaching, maybe that wasn't my dream job initially. Maybe it wasn't what I thought I was going to do, but being flexible, especially in times of uncertainty, allows for you to at least still acquire skills. You might be acquiring those skills in a different industry or in a different way, but you are still acquiring things that you can apply later to that job you're looking for. There's two more slides, and then we're going to open up for questions. And this is also along the stress management. So a lot of times we bottle up these frustrations and emotions inside. That leads to increased stress. Our brain does not process the information that we think internally in the same way that it does when we say it externally, because our ears are able to pick it up or our eyes are able to pick it up. It actually moves that information to a different part of our brain for processing. So what you want to do is talk or write out what you're feeling, your goals, have a friend, a family member. You can always talk to a therapist, even us at CAPS, to be able to help you see your issue, your problem, your struggle, your stress in a different light and to gain a different perspective. Putting things down on paper can actually help to assist clarifying the situation or to develop a new perspective. So you want to talk it out. The other thing that's really important is building a sense of community. Who are the people that can help support you? This is the next slide, Priyanka. Who are the people that can provide for you that emotional support? I don't know about you, but when I'm by myself and I'm happy about a thing, it feels very different than if I'm with a group of people and we're all celebrating the same thing. They serve to kind of be like hype men, right? Hype women, like just it's just a hype time to be able to feel that sense of connection with other people. So build your emotional team. Who are some people that can support you as you combat stress and seek out ways to have pleasurable experiences and activities, to have those rewards and relaxations to support you in your journey of job search? Don't do it alone. So tell your friends and family if you're feeling overwhelmed and see how they can support you. Okay? I think that's it for us, Priyanka. So
Yes.
now, Donna, if you have some questions.
Yes, let me start back with a question that was asked in the beginning. It's really a situation question. It says, I am trying to get back into the school system after several years of being away. I am over 60 and I believe my age is also a barrier and that employers are unwilling to pay me for my years of experience. I have a doctorate and I have been searching for administration in K through 12 systems. When I apply for teaching positions, I am often told that I should be applying for district office positions.
So, with that, I would say, knowing that if you're getting that feedback that you should be applying for the district office positions, I think that's something for you to consider given your experience level and the skills that you have to offer might be a better fit with the at the district level position. Um, it is a good idea to create a profile on the school district's website and apply for positions over there. And then also at the same time, to make sure, other than the education or other than, school district, are my skills also applicable maybe in the higher ed field, or are they also, am I eligible to maybe start somewhere with online education process, whatever that looks like. So I would strongly encourage you to again sit down with a career counselor, because there is no one answer for, that can be applied to a blanket, like a general theme. So sit down with a career counselor, kind of talk about what have been your previous experiences and where would you like to go next. So I would recommend doing that.
Thanks, Priyanka.
Mhm.
We have two more questions which I can sort of group together. It is, what are some trends that have arisen over the last few months due to the pandemic? And how's the chances companies, I guess, what are the likelihood that companies are looking for recent grads?
So we've been attending a lot of webinars and engaging in conversations about hiring. And so while there are a lot of employers who rescinded job offers or internship offers, as they're trying to plan what to do next, there are also employers who are hiring. So, for the events that we hosted, we had at least 25 to 30 employers who were there who were hiring. And we're actually in the process of trying to track how many students they ended up hiring. So, like I said earlier, we really encourage you to look at the employers who are currently hiring. Um, I would say, for the other part of the question, in terms of did you say the trends, Donna? What's that?
The recent grads.
Oh, the recent grads,
Yeah.
sorry. So yes, they are hiring recent grads too. Also, being a recent grad, we all, we have certain expectations. We have bills to pay. I understand all of that. But like I said, being aware of the current situation and the opportunities that are available in there, they could look like temporary opportunities. They could look like micro internships. They could look like contract jobs. Be open to those opportunities, because you never know which opportunity may lead you to a full time position. Maybe this is an employer's way of trying to get a feel for how is this working. Let's see if we hire this new person virtually and we're working with them virtually. We've never had an opportunity to meet them. How is this going to work? So maybe before committing to a full time employee, the company is just trying out by putting these small or part time offers. So, my advice would be yes, they are hiring for recent grads, but it's also time for recent grads to be a little bit more open and more flexible, in terms of their expectations that they have set.
I also want to add one thing. I know we have a couple of other questions, but I want to also help everyone to remember that this is what we are going through currently, this pandemic, and the shift that it has required all of us in the way that we socialize, in the way that we search for jobs. Not necessarily the methods for searching for jobs, but the ability to know the timetables or what they're looking for or what they're asking for. But we also have to remember that this too shall pass. We go through these phases of things that feel so daunting and permanent. And when we're in the middle of a thing, it's easy for us to feel hopeless, like there's absolutely no change going to occur. But just as in March, we were on lockdown and absolutely couldn't come out, and now in June, we can come out somewhat, but maybe differently, this thing will continue to move. So right now, our employees are rebranding and reshifting their processes. But one day we won't have to worry about these things. There may be a new worry, but we won't have to worry about this in this way. So hold on to that hope, remembering that this, how it is right now, may not be how it'll be in a couple of months or in a year from now. Hold on to hope. Keep throwing out those invitations or seeds to be seen, hoping and knowing that employers are still going to need your skills. You've done the work, you've educated yourself. Be assertive. Let them see what you have to offer, because every invitation that you send is another opportunity for a conversation. Hold on to the hope.
That is an excellent way of closing the workshop, Leah. Thank you so much. So hold on to the hope. That is our message for you through this workshop today. And CAPS and Career Services is here to support you. So thank you for being here today. And feel free to reach out to Leah and me if you have any follow-up questions, and we'll be happy to work with you. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. You all have a wonderful Wednesday.
Thank you, Leah.
Thank you, guys. Anxiety gang. Who else has anxiety?
You're welcome. Who are we speaking to?
This is Connor Woolley. I was very appreciative of the of this getting this information, and because I suffer from anxiety, so this was very useful to me. So thank y'all.
Good. Feel free to come by and virtually join us for CAPS. Hopefully you got their information and we can help you process that anxiety further.
Well, thank you. I definitely appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Okay, bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.